Tropical Storm Irma forms over far eastern Atlantic, could become hurricane by Friday. As the rainfall from now Tropical Storm Harvey continues to pour down on southeastern Texas and southwestern Louisiana, a new tropical storm is forming over the far eastern Atlantic, the National Hurricane Center said Wednesday. The storm, named Irma, poses no immediate threat to land, the center said in its latest advisory. However, some strengthening is forecast during the next 48 hours and Irma could become a hurricane on Friday, said the advisory. For now, Irma has maximum sustained winds of 50 miles an hour. The National Hurricane Center says Tropical Storm Irma has formed over the far eastern Atlantic Ocean but poses no immediate threat to land. At 11 a.m. EDT Wednesday, the storm was about 420 miles, 676 kilometers, west of the Cabo Verde Islands. Maximum sustained winds were 50 miles per hour, 85 km/h, with higher gusts. The present movement is west at 13 miles per hour, 20 km/h. The general movement is expected to continue for the next couple of days. No coastal watches or warnings are in effect. The Hurricane Center says some strengthening is forecast during the next 48 hours and Irma could become a hurricane on Friday. Tropical Storm Irma picked up strength Wednesday and is expected to become a hurricane by Thursday or Friday, making it the fourth hurricane of an increasingly busy season. In their latest advisory, National Hurricane Center forecasters said sustained winds had reached 60 miles per hour as the storm rolls west at 15 miles per hour. While it's too early to tell what threat Irma may pose to Florida or the U.S. coast, it has the potential to gain significant strength as it crosses warm tropical Atlantic waters. Sea surface temperatures are more than 2 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, and encounters weak wind shear. Irma is moving along the southern edge of a high-pressure system that's helping steering it, forecasters said. During the next 3 days, it's expected to slow and begin turning toward the southwest. However, after that, the models diverge on which path the storm will take. What worries meteorologists is that the storm will track very close to a latitude and longitude in the tropical Atlantic that historically proved a turning point for threats to the islands and the U.S. coast. It's also not yet clear whether the high-pressure system, or a low-pressure trough, will win out in a tug-of-war over which direction it takes. A little too close for comfort, Colorado State University hurricane researcher Phil Klotzbach said in an email. However, models forecasting so far in the future can be notoriously unreliable, he explained. Beyond 7 days, I really don't much put stock in computer model forecasts, he said. Hurricane season entered its busiest time earlier this month, just after Franklin became the first hurricane of the season on August 10 and making landfall the next day in Mexico as a Cat 1 storm. On August 14, Hurricane Gert formed and remained well off the east coast of the U.S. Harvey became a hurricane last Thursday off the coast of Texas, before making landfall and stalling over Houston. National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration forecasters said the Atlantic Ocean's 2017 hurricane season will likely be above normal, with 11 to 17 named storms, 5 to 9 hurricanes and 2 to 4 major storms. On the heels of Hurricane Harvey, Tropical Storm Irma forms. For a nation reeling from the devastation of Hurricane Harvey, on Wednesday came some unwelcome news. Another possible threat was brewing. Tropical Storm Irma has formed in the central Atlantic Ocean, the National Hurricane Center said. It poses no immediate threat to land, and it's too early to know its track, forecasters said. As of 5 p.m. ET, Irma had 60-mile-per-hour winds. It was located about 2,000 miles east of the Leeward Islands and about 3,000 miles southeast of Miami. Irma was moving to the west at 13 miles per hour. The storm is forecast to strengthen into a hurricane Thursday or Friday, with winds estimated at 75 miles per hour. A tropical storm becomes a hurricane when its sustained winds reach 74 miles per hour. Irma will take about a week to make its trek west across the Atlantic Ocean, AccuWeather said. Weather Bell meteorologist Ryan Maui said Irma will likely become an intense hurricane, with Category 4 or 5 strength, near the Leeward Islands of the Caribbean. Track Tropical Storm Irma. A Category 4 storm has winds of at least 130 miles per hour. It is way too with certainty where and if this system will impact the U.S. AccuWeather hurricane expert Dan Kowalski cautioned. Possibilities range from a landfall on the Leeward Islands in the northeastern Caribbean to the Carolinas and the island nation of Bermuda, and everything in between, he said. Yet another storm could spin up in the Gulf of Mexico by the weekend. If this system does develop, it could bring additional rainfall to portions of the Texas and Louisiana coasts. Meanwhile, in the eastern Pacific Ocean, a developing system that's expected to become Tropical Storm Lydia later Wednesday has prompted a hurricane watch for portions of Mexico's Baja Peninsula. This includes Cabo San Lucas. Tropical storm warnings are also in effect for the Baja as well as the west coast of Mexico. A tropical disturbance that just left the African coast Sunday has become the hurricane season's ninth named storm over the eastern tropical Atlantic Ocean. The National Hurricane Center declared that Tropical Storm Irma had formed at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and it is expected to strengthen. It is many days away from any land, but it should be monitored by interests in the Caribbean and United States. Meanwhile, a tropical system that could form in the western Gulf of Mexico near Louisiana and Texas early next week bears watching. Irma's was positioned 420 miles west of the Cabo Verde Islands on Wednesday, with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. It was tracking west at 13 miles per hour. Computer models are in excellent agreement that this storm will intensify in the coming days and could reach hurricane intensity by Friday or this weekend. It is still very far east, more than 2,000 miles east of the Leeward Islands, so there is plenty of time. Keep a watchful eye on it. Through the next 4 days or so, models also agree on where it will track, but beyond that, some potentially important divergence sets in. The farther north it goes, the more likely it becomes that it will recurve to the north and away from land. But if it stays farther south, away from weaknesses in a large area of high pressure in the subtropics, to its north, it can keep cruising toward the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico and possibly the United States. Gulf of Mexico system. Another area we continue to monitor is the northwestern Gulf of Mexico. Just days after Harvey moves out, another tropical disturbance or tropical cyclone could move in. It does not yet exist, but models have consistently been hinting at a disturbance developing in the Bay of Campeche and tracking toward Texas by Wednesday. The latest run of the U.S. GFS model produces 10 to 15 inches of rain in a swath spanning southeast Texas through southern Louisiana. There is still a lot of uncertainty with this system, but given the potential, it is important to be aware of it. If it develops but tracks a bit further east, the Texas coast could be spared. Hurricane season status update. Historically, over the past 50 years, the ninth named storm has formed September 30, on average. So Irma is exactly 1 month ahead of par. Accumulated cyclone energy, or ACE, is another useful metric we commonly use to assess how busy the hurricane season is. It is a single value that integrates information about all of the various storms' intensities over their entire lifespan. The ACE so far this hurricane season is at only about 92% of average.